The idea of meeting someone who claims they're from space sounds pretty cool, right? But when you dive into their stories, things can get a bit creepy. I've put together a bunch of stories and personal accounts about these so-called aliens. These tales are about people who claim they come from way beyond Earth. Ever heard of Valiant Thor? In 1957, a guy named Thor, who claimed he was from Venus, landed on Earth. He said he came to share some wisdom and warn us about how dangerous the Cold War could get. His adventures on Earth are something out of a movie. He even had a serious chat at the Pentagon. Get this, he talked with President Eisenhower and Vice President Nixon about achieving world peace and dodging nuclear war. This incredible tale came to us thanks to Dr. Frank Stranges, a guy deeply interested in religion and mysteries. He met Thor in 1959. Thor, proving he wasn't from around here, gave Stranges a piece of cloth from space and talked about spiritual stuff, highlighting the importance of respecting God as understood in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Thor didn't just kick back and relax during his years here. He was busy talking to world leaders, pushing for the use of advanced technology and a bigger focus on spiritual growth. He lived in a simple apartment in Alexandria, Virginia, sticking to his mission of spreading peace. When Thor went back to Venus, he left us thinking. He showed us a glimpse of a future where we Earthlings could team up with beings from other planets. It's a story that really makes you wonder about our place in the universe and how we're all connected. Ever heard of Marshall Applewhite? Born in Texas in 1931, he took a wild ride from being a gifted musician to calling himself a messenger from space. He had a master's in music and once dreamed of being a singer in New York. Instead, he ended up teaching music at the University of Alabama and then leading a music department in Houston. But everything changed for him in 1972 after he met Bonnie Nettles, a nurse who was really into spiritual stuff and old prophets. They hit it off and started believing they were the special messengers talked about in the Book of Revelation. This belief led them to start the Heaven's Gate group, with Applewhite and Nettles leading the charge as otherworldly guides. They traveled all over, telling people that Earth was about to be recycled and that they needed to leave this world to reach a higher plane of existence. After Nettles passed away, in 1985, Applewhite took full control, even saying he was a new version of Christ inspired by Nettles' spirit. The appearance of the Hale-Bopp comet in 1997 was a big deal for Applewhite. He was sure it signaled the time for their big exit to space, believing a spaceship hiding behind the comet was waiting to take them to a new level of being. Now let's talk about something that happened in July 1954 at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. This guy walks in, beard and all, looking like he's from Europe, and he's got a passport from a place called Torrid. Now the twist is, Torrid doesn't actually exist. It's supposed to be somewhere between France and Spain, but nobody's heard of it. Despite his legit-looking passport stuffed with stamps and his bag full of different European money, no one could make heads or tails of his story. When officials dug a little deeper, trying to check the hotel he said he booked, the company he was supposed to meet with, and even his bank, they came up empty. No trace. Things got even weirder when, after they put him in a hotel room with guards outside, he just vanished. Poof. Gone. Along with all his mysterious paperwork. This whole episode got people talking about all sorts of wild ideas, like parallel worlds and time travel. It's a story that leaves you with more questions than answers, making you wonder about the things we don't know or understand. Now, there's this lady named Elizabeth Clarer, all the way from South Africa, who's got a tailie that'll make your jaw drop. In the 1950s, she shared an unbelievable adventure about failing, in love with an alien, and even having a child with him. This all started in 1956 on a hill in Natal. That's where she ran into Akon's spaceship. Despite the heat coming off it, she went closer and started an unbelievable adventure. Akon took her to his huge spaceship, which was like a garden in space. He told her they were meant to be together forever and even suggested Elizabeth's roots were connected to Venus. Their love story grew on Cathkin Peak, and they decided to start a family with a child they named Aying. Elizabeth's story got even more incredible when she visited Akon's perfect world in the Alpha Centauri star system. It was a dreamlike place with no cities, where everyone lived in peace and didn't need money. Elizabeth explained that time worked differently there. 4 months on Earth felt like 9 years on Aying. She wrote a book called Beyond the Light Barrier, where she tells her story of cosmic romance, offering thoughts on life, peace, and taking care of our planet. In 1969, the Reed family had an unusual experience with a UFO over the Sheffield Bridge in Massachusetts. Tom Reed, who was only 9 years old, saw some weird lights and balls of light, with one even touching the water. Suddenly, their car and a disc-shaped object made a triangle shape, lighting up everything around them with a loud noise that sounded like an animal before everything went quiet and dark. When they came to, they realized they had lost a few hours and could only remember bits and pieces of being in a big room. This event caused a lot of talk and made life tough for the Reed family, as people were skeptical and didn't always believe them. It also deeply changed how Tom Reed saw the world. Many years later, in 2015, the experience of the Reed family was officially recognized as an important historical event by the Great Barrington Historical Society. This led to the creation of the Tom Reed UFO Monument Park. Tom Reed keeps an open mind about what happened, considering it could be related to aliens or something else. This open-mindedness reflects the history and nature of the area around where the event happened. Extraordinary stories come in all shapes and sizes, and Boris Kiprianovich, or Boriska, from Volgograd, Russia, has one that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Born on January 11th, 1996, Boris wasn't like other kids. Imagine a baby starting to speak at 4 months and having the focus of an adult while still in diapers. That's Boris for you. He's always been obsessed with space, especially Mars. Without anyone teaching him about it, it's as if he had a direct line to something beyond what we usually know. When he was just 7, during a camping trip, Boris began sharing this wild story about his past life on Mars. His tale got so popular that it ended up in Pravda, a big Russian newspaper. By the time he was 11, Boris was talking to Project Camelot, sharing memories of a Martian civilization that destroyed itself with war and nuclear weapons. He called himself an indigo child, someone reborn on Earth to help us avoid Mars's fate. He even talked about ancient secrets hidden under the Great Sphinx in Egypt and survivors from Mars with hidden knowledge. Fast forward to today, Boris is 27, and it's like he's disappeared. Some say he's living a quiet life under the radar, possibly watched by the government, or just blending into the crowd in Moscow. Even though he stepped back from being in the public eye, there are still whispers about him being shared through psychic messages. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Comment below with your favorite story or any experiences you'd like to share. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos filled with fascinating stories. Until next time, may curiosity always lead us beyond the curious facts.